Thousands of people have mysteriously vanished in America's wilderness under strange and unexplainable circumstances. Most cases remain unsolved. What happened? Where did they go? Locations unknown.
Here we go. Add to stream. Hey, Danielle, what's up?
Hey, hold on. My microphone is coming out of not my ears.
That sounds like a good thing.
Maybe put her. You want to put her backstage so she.
Yeah. Well, then I can't hear if I'm.
Oh, that's true.
That's all right. We're live streaming and it's just doing whatever. It's fine. I think if I hit interview stack, here we go. I'm gonna fix our videos too. We'll figure it out.
Hold on.
Why no one live streams?
Oh, you're good.
Sorry. Oh,
we're just rambling anyway. Okay, I'm sure they're glad to see other people.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah, we
could hear you the whole time.
Cool. Okay, nice. Now I'm good.
All right.
Cool. It's good to see you guys.
It's good to see you too. How are you doing?
Good. Crazy busy. Cassie said she's backstage.
Oh, did I miss that?
I don't know.
Joe is working on it.
See all of us, so she's here. She's
okay.
Like, hello.
I don't have her in here. Let's see. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah. Give a second here.
No, wait. She's like, no, I swear I'm here. She sees us talking.
Wait, hold on. Here we go. Yeah, she is here. Hey, what's up, Cassie? How you doing? Welcome to the show.
I felt so weird in the background. I was like blurred out in the back and then could see you guys. It was like, I feel like I'm eavesdropping on a conversation.
That is awesome though.
No worries. We've been kind of the first half hour. We were just getting our sea legs with the stream.
Yeah, we're still figuring it out, but it's all right.
Oh,
that's how we do things here. Just not coordinated at all.
So
all right, I think we're there. Mike, you're just really dark.
I know. I don't know what's going on with my.
That's all right.
So
you have an ominous view, like it's just your shadow with your back.
The smoking man from
it's like
X-Files.
One of those documentaries where I don't want my face seen and I just talk. So
it looks like that. You just need one of those voiceovers where your voice is like
muffled,
where you can't hear your voice.
Absolutely.
Well, perfect.
Yeah, no, I don't know what it's this time of day. We never record this early. It's always dark. So as it gets darker, I'll appear. So
all right, there's people who like your show more.
Yes.
Bees says I love NP80. That's good.
Yay.
I always encourage it. So hey, thanks for doing this. This is awesome. You guys have been killing it recently. You got a new show coming out. You want to just give us all an update of what you've been up to and about your new show?
Yeah. Well, since the last time we talked, because we talked last summer, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot has happened. We've been all over the place. I moved again, which is nothing new. But yeah, we started a new show because we felt like, hey, we're busy 6 out of 7 days a week. We should bump that up.
Right.
Like we have a free day.
It's too much. So yeah, Cassie was really the driving force behind our sister podcast. It's called Watch Her Cook. And for the last few years, we've just been finding these stories of incredible women in our research for National Park After Dark that maybe didn't fit the exact like parameters of the existing show, but we kept coming across them and putting them on the back burner saying, we'll come back to you. And that's why we began Watch Her Cook.
No, that's fantastic. So how's the show going? I mean, did you start a couple weeks ago? You were launched, and how many episodes do you have now?
We just released our 4th episode today. So we've been, I guess technically this is our 3rd week. We launched on April 9th, I believe, but we launched 2 episodes on the first day, and then we had 2 more come out since, and we come out every Wednesday.
Well, and yeah, it helps that you guys have the really successful National Park After Dark to kind of give it that initial boost. Because I remember when we started out, and we would have months where we'd get 50 downloads.
Yeah.
So
Like 10 of them are me.
yeah.
Just listening on a loop.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
Well, that's exciting. How does the preparation, because I go through this with our show, but how is it different, doing a show on disappearances versus your new show?
I will say that this one, it's
Yeah.
so different because, and kind of felt like we had to start a new podcast because none of these stories
Mhm.
fit the narrative of National Park, but they were all very warranted of telling the stories themselves, but it's very different because they're not all
Yeah.
outdoor based. And it's all surrounding women, which obviously National Park After Dark is not. We tell stories of everything and anything that is outdoor related. And also, I will say in National Park After Dark, we really lean into the darker things. And with Watch Her Cook, we do lean into the darker things, and that's definitely going to be more apparent as episodes come out. But we're also leaning into more of the inspiring stories and the people who kind of beat the odds, and maybe not so much devastating like disaster stories where there's actually some good outcomes that happen in Watch Her Cook, which isn't as popular of a theme in National
I'm
Park
sure it's
After
good
Dark.
for your mental health though, so it's just not always doom and gloom all the time.
It's very characteristic of, like, it's very telling of our personalities too. Like, I'm the black cat to Cassie's golden retriever. So Watch Her Cook is very Cassie coded with like, look at all this amazing stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but death.
No one died.
So nice. It's nice to have that balance because it does, as you very well know. I mean, these stories are heavy that you're
Mhm.
researching and just like dedicating weeks of your life to researching. And when it's doom and gloom a lot, it takes an actual toll on your life and your mental health. So this is a nice additive to lighten the load a little bit.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We have a friend of ours that worked on Crime Junkies, and she said it literally is like a mental health issue when you're looking at crime scene photos all the time, and you have like these workers who are researching. They would take like mental health breaks because you're just looking at death and crime scenes constantly, and like that's not good for people to see all
No.
the time.
Right.
No. And that is part of like when we went into Watch Her Cook too. I think a big part of it is just as women, when you're looking at all these true crime stories, unfortunately, a majority of them are involving women who are victims. And with Watch Her Cook, it was kind of this moment where we like true crime just like the rest of us. We all consume it because there is an interest there. But at the same time, we were kind of tired of this narrative that women are victims. And we wanted to change that narrative and be like, wait a minute, there are all of these stories of women that are in such a different role that are powerful. Maybe they're not the victims at all. Maybe they're the perpetrators. Like it's just, we wanted to paint women in their full, like multifaceted selves versus just these victim narratives that are often portrayed, and even in our own show, so we found Watch Her Cook as a way to really bring these stories
Oh, that's
forward.
fantastic. That's awesome. So I'm glad you got it going. I'm glad we can direct everyone who doesn't already know, which I'm sure they do. But if you don't, go subscribe to Watch Her Cook right now.
I've actually had a few comments on various episodes of people after our last talk last summer where they actually discovered your show for the first time from us, which I was kind of shocked.
Whoa.
So
Yeah, you've gotten like 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
Just you're welcome.
So
Well, thank you so much.
So I before our call, I was kind of looking through your Instagram, your show's Instagram, just to see what you were up to, and I was scrolling down and I saw a picture of you guys in Antarctica. So
Yes.
could
Guys.
you fill us in on what you were doing down there, like how that came about and what your experience was like? Because I would love to go there at some point, but it seems like a tough place to get to.
Well, I'll take the topic of how it came about, and Cassie can speak to the experience part because
Okay.
she is like Antarctica's #1 fan. So as far as how it came about, I think we talked a little bit the last time about our group trips that we do with National Park After Dark listeners. And that was one of them. So we took a group of 14 listeners down to the bottom of the world through our group trip. We launched it 2 years ago. So it went on sale 2 years ago and finally came to fruition. Obviously, it was a really involved and big trip, not just because it's Antarctica, but just logistically getting there and organizing it and all of that. But yeah, so we all flew down to Ushuaia, which is the southernmost point of South America. And then we took a ship from Ushuaia across Drake's Passage to the Antarctic Peninsula, where we spent most of our time while we were down there, and then
That's
came on back.
fantastic. So did it take 2 years to fill the trip?
No, it took 1 minute.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
That is awesome.
So that was
Yeah.
all just logistics and planning?
Yeah, and just giving time for people to prep, and of course, it's a huge trip, not just, like, taking the time off and prepping, but also, like, it's a big monetary expense, like, for everybody involved, so
Sure.
just giving people time to make payments and do that, we would never just be like, "Okay, well, you need to pay us right now or you can't come." Like,
Yeah.
take some time, like, we all need
Yeah.
time to figure this out, so, yeah, that's why there was such a big lead time.
So did you see the
Yeah, and we
ice
wanted to
walls?
make it
That because it's flat Earth and do you guys
Everyone
see
it's
the
so funny, a few people said that to me when I came back, I'm like, "I don't get it."
Yeah. Oh, you've never heard of this?
No.
It's apparently Antarctica is just a big ice wall keeping everything from falling off into space or whatever.
Yeah, now I know.
Yeah.
I didn't know beforehand, yeah, but anyway,
Yeah. And there's allegedly like an alien
outpost or something.
alien
Oh,
there. That's where all the
Yeah.
see, that
Yeah.
you guys could have done a whole
But-
episode on that and got a whole new genre of listener.
The
Yeah.
conspiracy crowd.
Yes.
Really.
So what was each of you can answer this. What was your favorite thing about Antarctica?
Go for it, Cassie. Yeah.
Yes,
Me.
you're first.
Uh,
I know.
Where do I
Like,
start?
ready the stories.
everything. I love everything about it. I think that one of my favorite parts about Antarctica was I knew when we booked the trip that when I got there that it was going to be breathtaking and it was going to be beautiful. It was going to be unlike anywhere else that I had ever been. But I didn't really realize the magnitude of that until I was looking at it. And it is a trip that I will always, I mean, it's the best place I've ever been in my life. But I think one of the things that makes it so special is that it's truly untouched, minus a couple like science stations that are around. It's truly untouched, and you are immersed in the wildlife that's there. Danielle and I did part of the trip where we went paddle boarding, and I was paddle boarding, and well, we were in a group, and there were just penguins just swimming around us. And then at another point, there's a fur seal that's just spinning and having a nice time swimming alongside us. And then you just look, and there's a whale over in the other corner. It was so beautiful, and it was really quiet. There was nothing, there were no big structures. There was no, it wasn't spoiled by people.
Yeah.
You could be mindful for once.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That sounds amazing. You sold me. I want to go paddle boarding in Antarctica.
You should. Highly
Danielle, what was your favorite?
Oh God. I definitely have a couple favorite moments, but overall, I think my favorite part of the entire trip, aside from what Cassie described, is being somewhere and traveling somewhere where we were so, how do I say this? Like everything about that trip was how we need to be good stewards of this area and this landscape, or you're not going. It's like there is no, this is a suggestion like, hey, you should probably pick up your trash and like, and like, or just like, hey, don't approach the wildlife, but like people still do. Like they are so dead serious about that stuff. And it is so refreshing to see. And there are so many laws and regulations and parameters put in place for visitors down there that are just so nice to see taken so seriously by everybody, visitors and, expedition leaders and everybody. Everything from going through biosecurity, like anything in your outer layer, from your hats, your scarves, your gloves, to everything you're wearing needs to be vacuumed, picked apart for any lint or anything that could blow off and potentially impact the environment. Like before you
Mhm.
step
that's
off
awesome.
the ship, you need to do that. You need to sanitize your feet before you leave and when you come back. Like it is just so it's just so thorough. And on our way down, they took a lot of time because it took, 2.5 days to get down there by boat. They took that opportunity to really educate the entire ship about the importance of that stuff and, why those parameters are put in place. And it was just really nice because you don't see that anywhere else. It's always about like, people's experience. And there it's like we are privileged to be there and we are just visitors and we need to be super respectful of such a fragile ecosystem.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that was really cool to see play out.
That's fantastic. And that just means when you get there, how you described your experience, untouched. That's
Mhm.
how they maintain that. So you don't show up and there's just like a Twix wrapper just floating around in the middle of Antarctica.
And it's a really unique place to go because there's really not anywhere else I can think of that you can really claim is still pristine and untouched anymore, which is sad to say. Even Joe and I talk about this all the time, how mad I get when I'm, been out hiking and I see garbage
Yes.
in the parks and like, I'll pick it up and throw it in my bag.
Yeah. We always come back with more stuff.
Yeah. I always come back with more garbage than I even brought with. And yeah, it's just, that kind of takes away some of the, being out there is you've seen all this garbage everywhere. And so that's got to be really amazing to be somewhere where it literally is pristine and clean and people actually are trying to protect it. So
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
when we went down, like at the in Ushuaia, obviously it's a big port town. Like there was a bunch of ships that were all gearing up to head down there at some point. But after we left that harbor, we didn't see anybody else. We never saw anybody else. So the people that were on the ship, there was 199 passengers. Aside from them, not another human, not another ship, boat, building that had people in it. Like there was a
Yeah.
couple of stations that we saw that were literally overtaken by penguins, like millions of penguins.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it was
It's
just
theirs
really
now.
refreshing. It was so cool.
How big are the penguins? Were they like emperor penguins, the ones that get like 4 feet tall sometimes?
We didn't see those. We saw,
Okay.
like Gentus and Adelis. They're like, I don't know, like this big, maybe.
Okay. That's still cool. Like
Pretty
those are that's pretty big. Now, bigger than the ones I see at the zoo. That's for sure.
Yeah.
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 How was the weather while you were there? Was it
Cold?
Yeah, well, obviously cold, but like there's degrees of cold. So
To be honest, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
There were days, I think one of the days we were there was like 34 degrees.
Mhm.
okay.
So it was definitely winter weather down there, but it really wasn't like we wore jackets and sometimes we had like something over our mouth or something, but for the most part, I think it was between like 15 and 34 degrees the whole time we were
Yeah,
there.
it was like winter weather for us, but it was their summer.
Okay.
Yeah. It was warmer in Antarctica than it was in Vermont.
That's actually really funny.
Yeah, I mean that happens here too, where it'll be warmer in Anchorage, Alaska.
Do you
than
guys
here.
have a trip coming up in the beginning of May?
We do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You have one of your fans says they'll see you on May 3rd. So
Woohoo. Yeah.
Christy
Actually, I
Velasco.
leave Friday. Going a little early, but we're going to Joshua Tree and we're doing an event there with some listeners.
Oh, that's
cool.
awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
So what's that event about?
We're doing a live show. And so we're going to
Oh, excellent.
And then we're doing a camp weekend that has, I believe it was 60 or 66 people. We're all going to camp for the weekend, and we have some hikes and some little fun things to do, some campfire stuff for the weekend in Joshua Tree.
That's really awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So you guys are just doing this full time now, right? I think when we first started talking, you were kind of in between, but you're just all in now on this, and it's going real well.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
We don't have time for
There's not enough hours in the day.
That. Do you still love it?
For sure.
Then there you go. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Then that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You do have a question from a fan, from Holly Eklund. I'm new to hiking, getting my feet wet. Which was each of your scariest hiking experiences and you've encountered, animals, elements, etc.? So Danielle, you go.
You want to know our scariest moments.
Wait, our scariest moments hiking.
Yeah, or experiences,
Or
whether it was
outdoor.
encountered animals, anything outdoor.
Well-
What was your scariest experiences?
I mean, the one that comes to mind right off the bat, it wasn't exactly like I wasn't scared to death, but it definitely shook me up a little bit. I was living in Washington State at the time with my partner Ian, and we there's a hike out there that everybody in Washington is very familiar with. It's called Mailbox Peak, and it's brutal. And you usually have to get up pretty early to get going on it. And because we lived about 3 hours away, we decided to drive to the around the trailhead and camp the night before so we could get up before sunrise and hit it. And so I have a little pull behind camper. It's like a little off-road camper. It's about the size of a queen size bed. You can lay down in it, and that's about it. So it's pretty tiny, but it's pretty rugged and solid. And we were in the back of it with my 2 dogs, asleep. And all of a sudden I'm a pretty light sleeper. And all of a sudden I went like that, and I woke up and I was like, what the heck was that? But the dogs weren't reacting. Ian was asleep. So I didn't really think anything of it. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, this whole entire camper is shaking. So I woke Ian up. I'm pretty sure like there's a bear trying to get it, because the back has like a little galley area where
Sure.
For storage and stuff. And I was like, where did you put the trash? Because we had cooked. And he just looked at me in silence. I'm like, oh shit. So yeah, the shaking continued, and this is a 3,000-pound camper.
Okay, so if something's moving it's either a vehicle or something big.
Right, and we're in the middle of the woods. So I'm like, like off a logging road. So I'm like, okay, I know what this is. So I just banged on the side of the door and said, the classic, hey bear, whatever. And then I was like, all right, get out there and go check it out. So we both go outside, and with my headlamp, I could see there was very clear claw marks and bear prints on the back of the camper. And so yeah, it wasn't like super scary, but it was definitely startling, and it definitely woke us up a little bit as to like, he's like, well, there's no trash cans around here. I'm like, I have a bear box. Like I have like a bear, sealed container. But anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
So that was that.
That would terrify me.
Yeah.
100%.
And I knew it was a black bear because of where we were. So that really like eased my anxiety. Like if we were in Montana or Idaho or I would have been a little bit more frightened.
Yeah, black bears are like scared little dogs. If you just yell at them, they kind of
It's still not fun to be woken up in the middle of the night, one trying to like claw through your camper though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
All right,
there's
Cassie, what's your extreme scary experience?
Extreme scary. This one also, I wouldn't call it extreme scary, but I do think if you're getting into the outdoors, if you're pretty new, this is, I guess, a good one to not do what I did.
Okay.
So this was years ago now, but I was in the White Mountains, and my partner and we decided that we were going to go hiking, and we were going to go to what's called the Bond Cliffs. And it's a really long hike. It's like 21 miles if you do it in one day. And we decided that we were going to hike out and camp overnight. And then we were going to do the hike partially, camp overnight, and then hike back. the next day. So just to split it up a little bit. But we knew there was kind of some dicey weather that was coming in. So we get out there and we start hiking. And I want to say the first 3 miles of this trail is flat. It's actually kind of comical because it leads to these natural waterfalls. So when you're hiking back, there's a bunch of people in flip-flops carrying like beer cans to go swimming, and you've been hiking 5 miles. But on the way out there, we hardly get in and it starts pouring on us, and the wind comes in, it's howling. There's actually a tropical storm that we knew was coming in, and we went out anyway, and we got a mile and a half in, and we said we should take shelter. And so set up a tent underneath a tree that was kind of fallen onto another tree. So we were underneath and we set up camp, and we slept that night. And I was awake all night because this storm was so bad. There were like 60-mile-per-hour winds. There were trees falling down all around us. It's pouring rain. We don't have a waterproof tent really, so it's also getting wet inside. And I'm just sitting there. He's fast asleep, doesn't care. I'm laying there listening to all of these trees just falling down around us. And I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die tonight. Like, I'm going to get crushed by a tree. Why are we out here? We're a mile and a half into the woods. We could have stayed in a hotel. But we survived. And the next morning, my shoes were kind of wet. But we hiked out. We did the whole hike. It was really far. But as we were walking along the trail, we saw all of the trees that were down, and there were just branches like littering the whole trail. There's full trees down. And I was just like, we were so close. Even around where our tent was, there were trees down that were like pretty close to us, but we kind of had a covered spot because we were under the tree a little bit. But don't recommend camping in a tropical storm if you can avoid it.
Yeah, that's actually one of my most terrifying things to think about is a tree falling on you. They call them widowmakers because that's just
for a reason.
like, what a terrible way to go.
I always look whenever I'm backcountry hiking and camping. The first thing I do, to find a campsite, is I look up to make sure there's no tree branches over me.
Yes.
So
or like a kind of dead tree over you. It's
yeah.
like here, that's for sure.
Yeah, you guys are incredibly lucky.
This isn't my story, but I remember when I was working in outdoor education, there was a guy that I worked with, and he was with a group of kids, because we worked with like 12-year-olds, and it was a little windy that day, nothing big, but he had stopped to talk about, like, I don't know, it was like some type of plant life he had stopped to talk about. And while he was talking to the group, right behind him, a huge tree fell and hit the ground like a foot away from him.
Imagine
it's like if he had stepped a foot forward, he would have been crushed in the middle of his presentation.
In front of kids.
Yeah.
Like generations of trauma and damage. Just like I went on a hike once and the guide got crushed by a tree in front of me.
We went on a school trip and it was supposed to be great, and now I'm in therapy.
Yeah, 100%. I think I would be in therapy as an adult.
I would never go out in the woods.
Like, if you just saw a tree randomly fall and crush somebody, I would be terrified to go outside.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's wild.
So you do the trail. That actually is a good segue, because you do the trail tales, where it's the listeners submit stories. What's your favorite trail tales that have been told from people? And I also wanted to ask, how do you verify that they're true?
We don't.
Yeah.
Okay, you just trust.
And if we think it's interesting, it'll show up on the show.
Yeah. We're laughing because
we have the same answer.
We have the same answer.
Okay.
So we get so many good stories, whether they're true or not. We're gonna say they're true. From everything. It started off pretty like solidly outdoor national park based, and then now obviously it's kind of evolved. But there's one story, it's got to be 2 years ago now, 2-3 years ago. It was an early on story, and the way it was written was so comedically perfectly timed, and just, like, it read so well, because sometimes, the meat of the story is great, but sometimes, like, the wording around it, it's like you kinda have to dig to get there, but this was just, like, chef's kiss, so good. But essentially, this woman was kinda newish to hiking, but essentially she went out with, all this great gear and whatever, and it started to drizzle and rain, and she looks down and, like, her crotch was foaming, and she's like, "What the hell is"
Wait, what? Hold on. What did you just say?
her crotch was foaming,
Her
like
crotch was like
like
foam.
foam, like
Big
bubble
white foam.
white foam.
Was it angry?
Well, she was like so now she was like w going through all the stages of grief, like, "What is going on down here?" Like, confusion, disappointment, like, anger, like, denial, just like,
And then bargaining with it?
"What's happening?" And she's going through all these things, and then she's, like, wiping it away, trying because she's clearly, like, embarrassed, and so she's trying to wipe it away, but it keeps coming back, and it starts raining harder, so it gets worse and worse. She's like, "It's like a washing machine down there." It was so funny. But anyways, long story short, it was like the, detergent that she had used in her pants and the friction of, like, that one spot between her legs.
Oh my gosh, that's
And
hilarious.
what was it called? The foaming pants or something she
Yeah.
titled it. Oh my god, it was so good. We
And
actually
the
read it
best
twice,
part about
I
that
think.
the best part about that story too is that she came in and part of her story she was like, "Can someone else tell me, has this happened to you?" And we got a flood of messages of other women with foaming pants.
Is
Yeah,
this like a thing?
I guess.
I've
It's
never heard
certain
that happening.
it's certain like fabric will hold the like detergent, or if you haven't washed them yet and then they get wet and they haven't like cleaned some of the fibers or something out of it, like when the friction causes like a weird we don't know the exact science behind it, but we do know it's a common
So
occurrence.
I come from the world of pharmaceutical clinical trials. I feel like you have enough data sets where you could figure out if it's a specific type of washing machine, specific type of fabric, or a specific type of detergent.
It
I
could
don't
be
know.
a very interesting study.
You can do a study like what hiking pants women should not wear in the rain and why.
I'm pretty sure I think it's my monitor's kind of far from me, but I think Gabrielle said she hadn't washed her pants before washing them. It was because of that,
I
and
think
you're
that's what
probably
it
right.
was. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's gotta be
Interesting
a
one. I'll
specific
put it up
type
there.
of material that I don't know, whatever. It was so funny. Yeah, so that was the most memorable one for sure.
That's amazing.
That
I've
was
never
awesome.
heard of that. And I'm assuming that's never happened to any of your hiking trips with your listeners. So
Not that we've noticed,
yeah.
but they
Yeah.
could have hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I'd never seen that before. That's hilarious. Crotch foaming. Yeah, I've never had that issue on a hiking trail. Have you?
No.
No.
I would freak out though. I mean, that's not something you expect to happen. So
You're
Right.
like, am I having a medical emergency?
Yeah, like-
Or is
Seriously.
one of my buddies
Yeah.
playing a prank on me. Like, did they put something in my
Oh,
pants?
I should do that to you actually.
That's
It would be
crazy.
funny.
Get some Dawn dish soap on there while you're not paying attention.
Right
So
before a hike.
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
100%. Yeah. So with all of the new success and continued growth, what's the biggest thing you guys are looking forward to this year and going forward with your show, your new show, your live shows? Anything you can reveal that's coming
I was
up.
gonna say, I'm like, I don't think we can say.
Oh, you can't say that.
Yeah, we
Oh, yeah, we can.
All right. Is there any type of teaser like when people should be paying attention and waiting?
no.
Oh, all right.
It's very early stages.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
very
Um,
yes.
So I guess in terms of things that we can speak about that we are excited for is we have a few trips coming up this year, which are exciting. We're doing a Colorado trip And we're doing like almost, we're not hitting Mesa Verde, but we're doing pretty much every other national park, which is really exciting. And then we're also doing a Hawaii's Volcanoes National Park trip with listeners as well, which is really something that we're looking forward to.
That's fantastic.
Mhm.
So in the States, what's your favorite national park that you've been to, or like the most excited trip you're looking forward to?
Oh my God. Cassie.
Oh
Glacier.
my God.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. Okay, so
This isn't a national park after dark trip. It's a personal trip.
yeah.
Okay.
So Cassie especially, like whenever everybody asks us our favorite parks, we have our standard answers. But Cassie always has a disclaimer of like, for now, because I'm pretty sure my favorite park that I will eventually go to will be Glacier. And this summer, we have the opportunity to go to the Granite Park Chalet and stay for a couple nights. So we're going to be doing that this summer. And that's something that like we're both stoked for.
So you haven't, either of you have not been to Glacier yet?
No.
Oh,
No.
that is my favorite park of all the
Is
national
it?
parks.
What are
And the
your
chalet,
recommendations?
the chalet is beautiful. Hiking to the chalet is amazing. Just even driving along going into the Sun Road is absolutely beautiful. If you do have the time, they do the tours, like the open-ended buses. You can go through there and they talk about the history of the park. That's amazing. We did, that was the one story that me and Mike had that was probably the scariest hike we were on.
Yeah.
We did a backcountry for 3 or 4 days.
Something like that. Yeah.
We hiked in the 50 mountain campsite where you normally have to go hiking into Canada, then back out of Canada just to get to this campground that's really far back in the middle of nowhere.
We forgot our passports.
We forgot our passport. So we had to take the long way, going up the wrong way essentially to get there. And we ended up camping and nobody was there, which is uncommon because all of the permits get taken up all the time. Like we applied for the permits a year and a half in advance.
Long
just to
time
get,
in advance. Yeah.
and nobody was there. And then 2 rangers show up on horseback and they're like, "What the hell are you boys doing here?"
12-gauge shotguns.
Yeah, they had guns and they came. We're like, "Here's our permits. Like we're supposed to be here." And they had shut down every campsite in like a 5-mile radius because there was a grizzly attacking people, and they were there to put it down. So they had us camp together with them overnight because it was too late for us to hike out. And the one guy, one of our hiking mates, like we had bear spray. I usually in grizzly country, I keep a firearm as like the absolute last resort. And one of our guys hiking with us was complaining about that we had a gun for some reason. And I was like, I'm not going to be shooting anything. It's like if I'm being attacked and going to die, like I'm going to do it. That's what the bear spray is for. But then the ranger literally goes to us. He goes, "Do any of you boys have a gun on you?" I'm like, "I do." He's like, "You might need it." I was like,
have a good night.
Yeah. I was like, "Oh man." So I didn't sleep a wink that night.
Wow.
He kept making fun of our buddy who was in a hammock. He kept calling him a bear burrito. So
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Glacier.
That's like a
Glacier's
near
amazing.
miss.
Yeah, you're gonna love Glacier.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parks too. I think we've done it twice.
yeah, we've done it twice. With
So-
the backcountry was the best one, and then just
Got
even
rained out on the other trip.
even the day hikes are just great.
It's beautiful.
The glacial lakes, you can just see lots of waterfalls going down them, and just everything looks very pristine. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool because like we've always wanted to go and stuff. And but I was talking to someone who is from there and he was like, "Oh yeah, when are you going?" And I told him it's during the summer months. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's not going to help your case of wanting to move there." Because I was like, my next move is probably going to be to Montana. And he's like, "Yeah, for sure. You're definitely gonna like after that visit, you're moving there."
Oh, Bozeman's such a cool town to hang out in. Then you're like right access to it. There's a couple other cities that are great there. And I went there with my family and we hit a cow. You got to be careful when you're driving. We totaled our car in the middle of the night and ended up staying overnight in like a fire station, and it was a whole thing. We were going up to Banff and just completely totaled our car on the way up there. But it's so common. People die all the time hitting cows on the road.
Man,
Okay, we will
that's good to
be
know.
vigilant.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like pitch black. So at night,
Oh yeah, you just
you don't
like
see it until you're 10 feet away from it.
the only reason we didn't have like major injuries is because the speed limit's like 100 out there. I was still only doing about 40 miles an hour because every time I drove out there with Mike, there's just deer and there's animals everywhere. Like you just can't, you have to assume you're going to hit an animal when you're driving out there. It's that bad.
Scary.
Yeah.
But it's cool. If I had to pick a Western state to live in, Montana is on the short list.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going to be moving again soon.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Colorado, I've lived in Colorado 2 separate times for several years each. I lived in Washington State. I'm from New Hampshire. I live in Maine right now. And I think that Montana is the natural next step, but we'll see.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Well,
But then we also have it's going to be a shorter trip, but based on actually a connection we made with somebody that we interviewed for National Park After Dark about a year ago. Her name's Maeve, and she works with the Wolf Project up in Voyagers, and she invited us up for a weekend with a project that she's doing with the Wolf program. So we are excited to be able to do that this year as well. So that's going to be.
So was the Wolf program reintroducing them back into the area, or how does that work?
No, it's just she was at the time that we talked to her, she worked as I'm pretty sure she was just a technician and like wolf depredation specialist, and kind of went around the park and did a lot of studies on like the wolf dens and different farming operations around the perimeter of the park, and talked to them about non-lethal coexistence measures and things like that. And she's been promoted to a different position where she gets to develop some sorts of programming to help support the program as a whole. And they're starting to talk about doing some weekends where they invite guests, and a lot of them are supporters of the program, like contributors already, to kind of get a hands-on look into what they do, and what the work is, and just get an inside look, boots on the ground type of look into their operations and the studies they conduct on the populations there that are already existing there. And yes, it'll be really, really cool.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So you guys have just been getting really neat opportunities outside of the podcast just as a result of success. What's been your favorite thing that you didn't expect that the podcast kind of laid in your lap or brought to you from your work there?
I think that my favorite part, and it might sound a little cheesy, but I think my favorite part is actually when we are able to do these trips and we're able to bring a lot of like-minded people together. When we get on these trips, we kind of watch these friendships unfold. That has nothing to do with that. Like, we facilitated the trip, but the friendships that are being made are just because there's people from different sides of the country that are meeting in these one spots. And it turns out that they all have something in common. And watching these friendships form and then watching them take it. I mean, there have been so many people from our trips that have become friends on our trips, and then we see them on social media hanging out like in another part of the world, in another part of the country, whatever, just going out on their own, and they've become such good friends. And I think that my favorite part about National Park After Dark is the community that has come from it. And I mean, I think one of the things about podcasting is like when you go into it, and you guys know too, is it can be nerve-wracking. You're putting yourself out there, you're putting your voice out there, you're putting your face out there, and the internet can be scary. It can be scary and it can be mean sometimes. But with our community, everyone has been so kind and everyone's been so like lovely and overwhelmingly. I mean, of course, there's a couple outliers in there.
We have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But overwhelmingly, I think that my favorite part has been the community that's been brought together because of National Park After Dark.
That's cool. You're like inadvertently doing matchmaking for friends. And that's
Yeah.
really cool because if they become lifelong friends, like you're the impetus for that. That's actually really beautiful. That's not cheesy at all. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Danielle, what's your favorite besides like the morbid death things you get to hear about that just that feed your dark soul?
Yeah, truly. I think that, I mean, I have an answer that's like also kind of cheesy, but my follow-up answer is we get to learn about so many amazing things, and we're just continuously evolving and growing our minds and getting glimpses into different cultures and people and places and things that we would have never come across otherwise. Like, you kind of have your education in your early years, and for most people that's it. Like, that's kind of where that ends. And we have this amazing opportunity to make a livelihood based off of our true interests and things that we want to expand our perspectives on and learn about. And some of it is fun, like, I wanna learn about the cryptid that lives in the swamps of North Carolina, whatever,
Mhm.
and that's, like, fun. But by and large, it's like, what can we learn about this historic event, and what can we take from that, and how can we integrate it into our lives and move forward with that? Like, it's things like that that are just week after week is not lost on us, that we
Mhm.
get to just immerse ourselves and then share it, share that love and passion with other people who it may never have come across their desk, like,
Yeah.
so that's just something that we're really happy to be able to do, and we're very fortunate that we get to choose, like, we're the captains of our own ship, and how
Mhm.
many people can say that? So
No, it's really
Yeah, I
fantastic.
like that.
And then we just had Tara from Crime Off the Grid. She wanted to say before you guys leave that she was the ranger that was responsible for losing Jade the dog in Yellowstone. So you did a story about that, and she felt so bad after that happened. So
well,
there
there
you
was a good ending now for Jade, so
yes,
so that's okay.
I also feel like that was an impossible situation.
Yeah.
Jade, are you guys familiar with Jade's story?
no,
I've never heard
you
of
should
this.
tell. No, you should tell us because Tara's coming on next in a little bit, and then I'll hear her side of the story too.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did this story like a couple years ago, so the details might be a little fuzzy, but essentially there was a couple who were kind of newly dating, like they were pretty early on, and they had a couple of dogs with them in crates, and they were in the back of their car in Yellowstone. They were driving around and they got into an accident. And because of that accident, one of the dogs, Jade, got loose and was terrified and ran off into Yellowstone. And the owner, the woman, was like clearly in like shambles. She was so upset. Her boyfriend at the time like was injured. There was a lot of other things going on. I mean, it was a pretty bad accident. And yeah, Jade got lost for like a few months in Yellowstone, and they had to there was like sightings about from, people here and there about, maybe I think she was a Australian shepherd or a
I
border
thought she
collie.
was a collie. She's like a
Was it a
border collie.
border collie?
I remember she was black and white and she had like long hair.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, there's this whole saga about finding her, and they did. And she survived. This dog from Denver survived in Yellowstone for like against the odds, you know. And it was a very sweet, heartwarming story, although it was very stressful to read because I read the book Finding Jade.
Yeah.
And as somebody who, lives for her dogs, like, the emotional strife of that and knowing everything that could go wrong for that animal there,
Oh, like
like,
what it
oh
faced
my
out
god.
in that
Yeah,
wilderness.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Now I might be dating myself. Are you guys aware of the movie Homeward Bound?
oh my god, yeah.
Oh,
I love that movie.
my first trauma.
I was gonna say when I was little, I think that's the first movie I cried about when I was a kid.
I haven't seen that
That's
movie
all
in
I
so
think
long.
about is Homeward Bound whenever it's like an animal lost trying to find its way home and it's just so sad. You just imagine it has a voice. It's just
Shadow's voice too, that's like,
oh
oh my god. And Chance is just like the comedic relief, and
yes.
Sassy is like me, I feel like. But anyway, yeah, it's a good one.
I'm gonna have to watch that one now. I still need to watch the guy who went to the bus in Alaska.
Oh.
How have you not Into the
Alex
Wild?
I've
McDowell's
seen it.
Into the Wild.
Yeah.
That
I've
is our most requested episode, I would say, and we keep ignoring it.
Yeah. We
'Cause it's
finally,
been-
yeah,
we
It's not an
we
interesting
caved and
story,
did it.
but-
yeah, we finally covered it a few months ago, and
Just because a lot of people, a lot of people want to know about it. Like they've written
Yeah.
books, there's movies. It's just like
yeah,
I think people
it's
just
a
like the
crazy
story.
Like it's a
Yeah.
very gripping story for sure.
Oh, you have people behind.
Yeah, you have
That's my
sorry.
wife and my son. They're delivering
I'll
pizza.
be right back.
Oh.
hello.
That's my Cassie.
Oh.
But yeah.
that's, you know why? There's two camps on that story. There's like the mean people who make fun of him, like, oh, he was willfully unprepared. And then there's the people like I prefer myself. It's like very poetic the way he lived his life. Obviously, it's tragic and there's a lot of mistakes made, but he just went for it. And I really admire people who do hard things because they're like soul led them that way.
Mhm.
And that's why I've always loved the story. It's like, yeah, he made a bunch of mistakes. We all make mistakes all the time. That's how we learn.
Right.
Unfortunately, he made a really big one. But
That everyone learned about. Like not
Exactly.
everyone learns about your mistakes, right? They're not on this global scale and stage like his was.
yeah, it was I always love that story. It's really touching. I like the way they played the movie and played the whole thing out. I haven't read the book. Have you read the book at all?
Into the Wild?
Yeah.
No.
So I've only seen the movie. I didn't read
Yeah.
the book.
Though I feel like I know the case now after doing the research on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So probably don't need to read the book, but well,
In
trying to-
closing, anything else you guys
Yeah.
want to say about your show? Anything coming up that you can talk about? Direct all the listeners in a direction of your show, your new show.
we'll post links to it.
Yeah, we'll
What do
post.
we have coming? I don't even know. We
So
have
we have our live show that's coming up next week, which it seems like there's a few people who are here that will be coming. So we're excited to see you there. And then I guess we just have all of the other trips.
we have so many things all the time
That's awesome.
that we
Yeah.
like.
Really cool.
It's
Oh,
annoying
and-
when people say like, I can't tell you, but it's happening. So I hate to be that person, but we like legitimately can't.
All right. Let us know when we can say it. We'll help promote whatever it is. Not that you need it. We'll send our 5 people that we sent to your show.
We
Oh,
appreciate
Learn about that. And the last official question from John Woods: do you guys play Dungeons and Dragons or similar TTRPSs secretly?
What are TTRPS?
Yeah, I don't know.
I have no clue.
Oh, TTRPG, which doesn't clarify it for me either.
Well,
The answer for me is no.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so
she I know what you're gonna say. The answer is no for me, but
I don't play Dungeons and Dragons. I do play. We have this game at home where we play like the old Mario game with like Mario and Luigi and Yoshi, like that old one from the 90s that you
Oh
played
yeah.
on
Super
Nintendo.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like
So I put
Mario
that-
Party
no, before that.
before
Right.
Mario Party.
like the original, the OG Mario, where you're hitting the little question mark boxes and you get a mushroom, or the
Oh,
little-
like regular Nintendo original Mario.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's not
thought
like
you were
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
I thought you were going in a completely different direction. I thought you were gonna say I don't play Dungeons and Dragons, but I read about dragons.
I do read about dragons sometimes, and I don't think this is Dungeons and Dragons either, but I have been LARPing.
You've
What do you
been
say?
LARPing. I
What?
think you're very close to Dungeons and Dragons then.
Yeah.
What do
I
you
feel
mean?
like
by LARPing?
that's like the like
LARPing. Fill me in on what that means again.
Yeah, no, I know what it means, and we're having a moment. What are you talking about?
Would you like to come?
When you say you have been, like you've been one time in the past, or you are actively going?
My brother goes LARPing and he invites me sometimes.
I
which
never knew this.
Which I will say though, I thought it was like my brother invited me and I was so excited. I was like, a time to bond and it's gonna be great.
And it's live action role playing for whoever asked.
Ah, well,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
have you ever seen what's the movie with no, I can't even think of it. They get court ordered to like watch kids and they have to go
Oh
with
yeah.
them.
Yep, I know what movie.
I forget the name of the movie.
Grown Up-
Role
not
models.
Role models. Yeah, role
Yeah.
models. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry,
very
Kat.
similar to that. Very similar to that.
All right. I'm
Um,
glad I could help you guys reveal something new about your friendship that you didn't know previously.
I really didn't know. I have to go.
Yeah, it
So what are you
was.
doing this?
It's an experience. And so I went and hung out with my brother and his friends who they've like made weapons, and they're serious weapons. Like they're metal poles and stuff. They cover them in foam so they don't like hurt you, but
Mhm.
they're serious weapons. And I went there thinking I was going to be like this bonding moment with my brother. And I even brought one of my really close friends that I went to school with. And I was like, okay, at least she'll be on my side. We were the only girls. Everyone ganged up on me and chased me and like beat the shit out of me with swords. And it was
You
So
were
now
the
I
easy
understand why
target.
you tell me.
apparently I look like an easy target. But yeah, it was 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Awesome. I'm glad we could have had this major reveal on the way out. So you guys are going to have to go talk about this now because Danielle, you seem very upset that you didn't know this ahead of time.
No, like for someone, I talk to Cassie more than I talk to anybody on this planet, and that somehow slipped through the cracks. So
I'm full of secrets.
she is
Awesome.
a good secret keeper. I have a question for you guys before we go. I know we have
Yeah,
like
sure.
minutes or less. So what's the farewell thing about? What are you guys doing?
So this studio, unfortunately, because it's awesome because we're in the city, they're renovating this whole building. So we're moving somewhere else and we don't even know where yet.
We don't have a new studio
Yeah.
yet, so it's kind of
Oh,
we're just going to figure it out.
we've had such a great time, and it's really the people outside of the window, especially in the summer. We have a big music festival downtown in June and July called Summerfest, and people just get really drunk and wander around the city. And people are so funny.
Oh, we get twerkers. People come and twerk in the
Yeah.
middle. So you can watch some like the old
Love
we have a camera that will switch on that just shows the windows when people are doing ridiculous stuff. The things they say and the stuff they do in the windows is just absolutely gold. It's fantastic.
So yeah, the show's not ending, but our location we're in right now is going away, and we at the moment don't know where we're going.
Yep.
Your
So
next location is unknown.
yes,
Yeah, it's
it is
literally
unknown.
our location's unknown. So
Yeah, so
it's
we
on
want,
brand.
and we've talked about doing a big live stream. Like this one is probably going to go to midnight our time, and we've talked about it for 2 or 3 years, and we've never done it because it is kind of pain in the ass to sit and talk for 6 hours. But we're doing it now because our studio is going away. So for the temporary, hopefully.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
congrats on your next step, wherever it is, and it'll
Yeah.
be a nice place. It'll be meant for you whenever it comes.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah,
You
thank
guys have
you.
fun on your trips. Thanks for
Yeah.
making the time and joining. And yeah, good luck on your live show at Joshua Tree. That sounds great.
Thank you. Thank you
Someday
so
we'll
much.
have to go to one of those.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah, or we can
So-
connect in another way. Just let us
Yeah.
know what you guys are up to, and yeah,
Absolutely.
you know
All
where
right.
to find us.
Yes.
Cool.
All right.
I'll
Well,
talk to you
thank
guys
you
later.
for joining.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.
Thanks.
bye, guys.